gets to hurting too bad and it's easier for you not to be.
It
Anyway.
seems like it's starting to get better. It works pretty quickly. So,
Hi, guys.
hi.
Let's see who's in here. Jan with Simply Jan Homestead. Echo, which is our guest today. Lori with It All Adds Up. Kayla from VC Family Homestead. Heather and Phil Beck. Linda with Another Time. And if you guys can hear us right now, no matter which channel you're in, if you would share this out on your community tab. Hi, Carol from Brooke, Bountifully Blessed. Welcome in. So today we're going to talk to Echo about her surgery she had done, which the abbreviation is VSG. It's VSG, right?
Right.
Vertical sleeve gastrostomy.
Yes.
Oh boy, that's
a mouthful. That's why they use the
I
abbreviation.
totally said that right until we started, and then now all of a sudden I lost myself. Hello, Moon over Miami. Welcome in.
Hi, Moon.
So we're going to play a little clip here that Echo has given us authorization to use, and we're going to play that real quick. Y'all let me know when you can hear it.
Okay? And just remember that you need to get your doctor's opinion. We're just showing some options in case you've never heard of it. Or
not medical advice.
Something might work or something. Maybe
not
it's
doctors.
Something you may or may not want to look into further.
Correct. All right. So I've never played a video on my live before, so this will be a first. We'll see how this
Let's hope it works. Hi, everyone. Another video in my weight loss surgery journey. This one is, what is VSG surgery? And this is the surgery that I'll be having next month. It is actually called the vertical sleeve gastrectomy, which is a minimally invasive procedure during which the size of your stomach is reduced to 3 or 4 ounces. Now, I've been overweight my entire life. I've had many medical conditions that all have led to weight gain. Most of my medications I take lead to weight gain. I'm a very bad diabetic, and I'm dependent on insulin, which makes me gain weight as well. So I have turned to surgeons and surgery to try to resolve some of these health conditions, and I'm going to be having this VSG surgery. Now, they do it laparoscopically, and they go in and they remove 85% of your stomach. And when they do this, they also remove part of your hunger hormone area of the stomach, which will help decrease your hunger, but it won't take it all away. Now, this surgery is only a tool. You still have to eat high protein, low carb, and low sugar. You will be restricted on what you're able to eat within the first month of surgery. And then probably month 2 through 6, you will lose a considerable amount of weight. However, you will have to incorporate exercise into your daily life. And you will also have to always watch what you eat, not only the portion sizes, but also the amount of calories and sugar that you ingest. You actually will become ill if you eat too much sugar. Your body will remove that sugar from your system one way or another. That is called dumping syndrome. And from what I've been told, it is not very pleasant. So I don't want to even go there. I want to make sure I'm eating properly and healthy, and so I don't have that problem. So I know I have over 100 pounds to lose, and I think this will be a very successful tool for me. If you have any questions about VSG surgery, please feel free to leave me a comment. I can steer you in the right direction to some very good information. Thank you all so much for watching, and have a wonderful day.
All right.
If you
Go
hear
ahead.
beeping in the background, it's my
Incubator.
incubator just keeps
All
beeping.
right. Let me say hi to a few people who popped in. Penny Ortiz, the Bud Files, Simply Katie Walks. Welcome in, Katie. Chew,
Hi, Chew.
the reluctant V Granny. I know how to say it now, V Granny, because she told me that. I thought it was the reluctant Vicany, but it's the reluctant V Granny. That's what it
Okay.
is. Because she told me. So I got it right now. I ask questions sometimes, just so I
So,
know.
Echo, how long ago now was that
I
you
had
had?
it on July the 8th of last year. So
Okay.
I just had my 9th anniversary, the 8th, which was yesterday.
Wow.
And I went from 315 pounds to 230 pounds. So I've lost
Oh,
85 pounds
that's
in
cool.
9 months.
That's awesome.
Hello, Daniel Berry, Sports
So,
Highlights. Welcome in.
how do you feel energy
Well,
wise?
I feel wonderful. Now, like I said in the video, I've been overweight my whole life. So I never really knew what it felt like to have energy or to feel somewhat normal. And I was taking 19 prescription medications before I had the surgery. I now take 8 prescription medications. And my insulin, I was taking 2 kinds of insulin, one in the morning and one in the evening, and then one at every meal. So that was 5 shots of insulin a day and a weekly shot. And I was taking 200 units of that insulin a day. Now I take 20 units. So I am almost off the insulin. And
That's great.
I'm off all of my other diabetic medication except for one that actually protects my heart and my kidneys from the damage from the diabetes. So I'm going to continue taking that one.
Yeah.
That
And
makes sense.
at my last doctor's appointment, I was able to get them to cut my blood pressure medicine in half. So,
That's
and
good.
I already got off of one medication for my blood pressure. I was on two, and now the second medication, we cut it in half. So hopefully I'm going to get off the blood pressure medicine and off the insulin.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Welcome in, Our Treasured Home and BNS Odyssey.
If you have
So,
questions, go ahead and put them in chat, and we'll try to get whatever questions asked as they come in.
put what now? Who are you talking
Put
to?
to chat. Go ahead and put your questions
Oh,
in
what's your question?
chat
Yes.
if you have any.
Yeah, you may begin putting your questions in and we'll look for those. But I do have a question.
Okay.
Okay. So, what questions should you ask before getting this surgery? What questions do you recommend someone considering the surgery to ask the doctor?
That's a very good question. Um, my family physician told me that I was pretty well maxed out on my diabetic medication. And I had tried every diet and exercise that I knew to do, and nothing really worked. I would initially lose 5 or 10 pounds, and then I would gain back 20 or 25 pounds. So I was really at the end of my rope. I really thought I was too old at 61 to, which I was 60 when I was inquiring about it, but I really thought I was too old to have surgery done. So I had a conversation with my doctor and said, well, if I'm maxed out on medication and if I can't lose the weight on my own, what do I do? And she really didn't have any answers for me. And so I had a couple of friends that had had some kind of weight loss surgery done. And I said, is that even a possibility? Do you even think, I would be a candidate for that? And she said, yes, because everything that basically was wrong with me was contributed to my weight. So if I could lose the weight, I could improve my health a lot. So she referred me to they're called bariatric surgeons. And when you go for your first meeting with the surgeon, they explain everything to you. You can't just go in and say, gee, I'd like to have a weight loss surgery. Hook me up. Let me lose some weight. You have to go through a long process of going to all kinds of different doctors, having different tests done to make sure that you are indeed a candidate for the surgery. And then you have to make sure that your insurance company is going to pay for it. Now, with mine, um, they look for certain problems that you have to see if you're a good candidate, which one of them is sleep apnea. And I already had been diagnosed with sleep apnea. I already was using the machine, the CPAP machine at night. So I didn't have to have any additional testing for that. But if you have not been diagnosed with that, they may recommend you have a sleep study done to see if you have that sleep apnea, which most overweight people will have that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. Then, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Katie had a question. I put it
Okay.
up on the screen.
Katie, I was actually on Monjaro, which is very similar to Ozempic. I can't even say it. But I was given it because of my diabetes, not necessarily for weight loss. But anyway, other things you have to have a visit with a psychiatrist, make sure that you're not, just wanting to have surgery and that you are mentally stable enough to change your lifestyle habits. You have to meet with a nutritionist. You have to have like 3 nurse visits. You have to lose so much weight over a certain period of time to show that you can stick to the plan and actually lose the weight. And then my doctor wanted to do an endoscopic procedure to make sure that my esophagus was good and my connections were good so that when they do the surgery, you won't run into problems.
Yeah, that makes sense.
A lot of people have what they call a gastric bypass, where they actually take your stomach completely away and make you a little pouch and hook that right into your intestines. But in order to do that, you have to have your intestine where that would work. And because I had had previous abdominal surgeries, I had a lot of scar tissue, and there wasn't going to be any way to get my intestine loose, to be able to do that. So I couldn't choose that option. However, when they actually went to do my surgery, even though I'd had a CAT scan done, or I think I had an MRI done, but anyway, they knew the condition of everything. It still took him over an hour to be able to get the laparoscopic instruments in there to do the actual surgery because of the scar tissue. So that's a consideration too. If you've had other abdominal surgeries, you may have some issues, with that. But once you pass all those lovely tests, and I also, even though my family doctor recommended me to this surgeon, she still had to sign off and say that I was healthy enough for surgery. And before she would do that, I had to go to a cardiologist and I had to have a chemical stress test done to make sure my heart was okay to be able to have the surgery. And so I had to get them to sign off, and then she would sign off, and then finally they could put me in through my insurance to see if my insurance would cover it.
So lots of loopholes, but it sounds like they did like all the right protocols.
Right. And that was the one thing that made me feel comfortable about doing the surgery, is because they wouldn't just do it because I said I wanted it. I had to make sure that it was going to help me by having it done, and that I was going to be able to make the lifestyle changes and be able to do the portion control and the dieting, because you have to do that the rest of your life. Your stomach is not going to grow back. So that and also in the very beginning, it kind of sounds kind of gross or whatever, but when they cut that part of your stomach away, they staple it closed. And so it's like, if you've ever had stitches or anything, it's raw, and you have to be very careful because food can actually get caught in there and cause infections. So they kind of scare you into like, you are going to follow it exactly like they say, so that you don't have any complications. And knock on wood, I have yet to have a complication.
Oh, that's great. Carol has a question. Are you limited to how much liquid you can drink?
No, ma'am, you're limited as to when you can drink. Um, the you have to actually drink. I drink about 90 to 100 ounces of water a day, but you can't drink 30 minutes before you eat. You're not supposed to drink while you're eating, and then you need to wait 30 minutes after you eat. And they kind of explained it to me like if you put in a funnel, put your food through a funnel, the food is going to take a while for it to come down through that, funnel and empty out of your stomach. But if you mix water in with that food, it's going to make it more liquidy and it's going to run right on through. And so you still want your food to be able to go through the digestion process so that you can absorb the nutrients. So you don't want to have it just going really fast. You want to give it time. You want to feel full and satisfied. And then you want to be able to wait a little while before you actually drink. So you are basically either drinking or eating pretty much the entire time that you're awake.
Wow.
Yeah, because in order to get enough water in, you have to be drinking it I always have my water with me and I just sip on it, and sip on it and sip on it. This is 40 ounces, and I fill this up at least 3 times a day. Now, I may not finish the last one before I go to sleep at night. And I learned that too. I don't want to drink it too late because then I'm up all night going to the bathroom.
Or the bathroom. Yeah, I've noticed that. You need to kind of cut that off like 30 minutes an hour before you go to bed if you can.
Yes.
So I have another question. If now that you know everything you know, would you do it again?
Oh, most definitely.
No
I
regrets.
would have done it years sooner had I realized and known what I was going to learn from it and how it was going to change my body.
That's awesome. Okay, so you said it brings your stomach down to a capacity of 4 ounces in your video. So what is the normal capacity of a adult stomach? Do you know?
Probably 3 to 4 cups, which are 8 ounces a cup. So
Well,
probably
I asked you.
32.
Go ahead. Oh, I said I asked you, but I did actually look it up.
Okay. Well,
It's
from
1 to 1.5 liters.
liters. Okay. Which I don't know how many cups are in a liter, but
But it's way more than 4 ounces.
yes, just from my own personal experience with it, which we all know that restaurants do not give us a true correct portion size. But when I would go and eat out at a restaurant, I never looked at that portion, that meal, and thought, oh my gosh, this is way too much food. I won't be able to eat all this food. Okay. I would look at it and I would say, well, that's a lot. That's good amount of food. But I would finish it. Okay. Now, when I go out to eat, I look at the food and I might be able to do 4 or 5 bites. And that depends on what it is. And then I pack it up in a to-go container and I move it away. Because if it's still sitting there in front of me, I will still want to pick at it. And then I will eat too much and then I'll be uncomfortable.
So do you really only eat like 4 or 5 bites of your meal? That's not very much.
Well, it depends on what it is. Okay. If it's bread, pasta, rice, potatoes, maybe 1 to 2 bites, and I'm feeling like I've got a lead weight in my stomach. Okay.
Wow.
So I can't put a whole lot more in there with those heavy kind of things. Now, if I'm eating just meat by itself, say I'm eating chicken, like grilled chicken, I might can do 4 or 5 bites of that. And maybe that would be maybe 2 to 3 ounces now. But see, now when you first start out, you can't do more than about an ounce at a time.
Wow.
And then as you heal and the swelling goes down and everything, eventually you work up to about 4 ounces. I'm 9 months out from the surgery and I'm still weighing my food because your eye kind of lies to you. And when you just scoop the food and put it out, it doesn't look like very much food, you know. And I use the saucers instead of like a dinner plate. I bought all the little 2 ounce and 3 ounce little plastic containers, but still, uh, I don't trust that when I put the food there. So I have my little scale and put my little container on it and zero it out and portion out the food. And most of the time, even if I take 4 ounces, I can't eat it all at one time. So I may come back and finish it later. But I still haven't been able to have, like, if I was to make a meat and a vegetable, I can't eat it all at one time. So I do a lot of things that have the vegetables and the meat together, and then I just do a small portion of that. But if I really say I wanted to have some steak and I wanted to have grilled asparagus, I could have one or the other at one time, but I can't have them both at the same time. But I could wait an hour and a half to 2 hours, and then I could go back and eat whatever I didn't eat, in the first meal. So
kind of feels like you're not eating a full meal. That's
no,
what it sounds like to me.
where what you all would consider a meal and eat 3 meals a day, one meal for you would feed me probably 4 meals. But I may eat 5 to 6 meals a day.
Per
It
day.
just depends. Now, this is the funny part. I have to have an alarm set on my phone to remind me to eat, because you get where food is not a big part of your life anymore. It's almost like taking your vitamins or taking your medicine. You need to do it, and you have to do it. But it's not like you sit there and you think, gee, what am I going to eat today? It's like, I know what I can eat and what I like to eat of the things that I can eat. And so I just, when my alarm goes off, I know, oh, it's that time again. I need to go find me something to eat. But it's not because I'm hungry. I don't get a hunger feeling. I kind of run out of energy. I feel like sometimes my battery is going.
You got them out. Yeah.
And it's like, boy, am I feeling a little run down right now. And then I realize, oh, I haven't eaten anything. And then I'll go and eat. And then, of course, I feel better. But I'm so much more energetic now, where, I literally had to walk with the rolling walker because I fell so much, because with my diabetes, I have no feeling in my feet. And so your brain forgets where your feet are and you're easy to fall. But by keeping your sugar under control, it makes that a whole lot better. And I am proud to say my highest A1C, which is your 3-month diabetes number, okay? My highest one on record that I ever had tested was 11.4. Now, 5 is normal. If you're at 5 or below, you're not diabetic, okay? In my entire adult life that I've been struggling with my diabetes, I have never been below a 6. I have gotten down to a 6 from 11.4. But this last doctor's appointment, I am now a 5.8. So I only have 0.8
more to go to get to under that,
where I will no longer be considered diabetic.
That's awesome.
And that's exactly why I did it. I didn't do it because I wanted to be skinny. I didn't do it because I wanted to look younger or better. I did it strictly because my health depended upon it. I want to live to be able to raise my granddaughter.
Yeah.
And it wasn't looking too great for me to be able to do that. And
I understand.
Even after I quit having to use the walker, I still walked with a cane for a long time. Now I don't have to do any of that,
That's good.
When my granddaughter says, Granny, let's go walk down to the playground, I can go and walk with her down to our little playground here in the apartment. And I've even gone down the slide at the bigger park. And my daughter said, Mama, I never knew you to be able to get on the playground equipment in my daughter's entire life. And I said, well, You know, my granddaughter said she wanted Granny to go down the slide. Granny was going to try, even if I couldn't do it. You know, they could call the paramedics to get me down, you know, but I was going to attempt it.
Yeah.
And I did it no problem. So
Right.
now there's so many things that I can do that I never in my adult life can ever remember doing. You know, I don't have to have my stomach rub up against the steering wheel in the car. And I would have
Right.
the steering wheel adjusted all the way up and the seat back. And still, I would rub on the steering wheel. And now, I mean, I'm actually moving the seat up because my feet don't touch the pedals as good. So I'm like able to get, you know, a lot closer.
That's good.
I never could bend over and pick something up off the ground. If
Small,
I,
small things like tying your shoes and bending over.
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
So like
crossing my legs. Okay. I have never been able to cross my legs.
that's
I
just amazing.
I now catch myself sitting there, not only with my leg crossed over, but dangling my foot, like, you know, and I would envy women who could sit like that. And I would just be like, there's no way. Actually, I can stand with my knees and my feet touching. And never before, which I didn't have really big legs, but I had big enough thighs that if my thighs touched, my knees and my ankles were apart. And now I can, the first time I realized that I could actually stand with my legs totally together, I about freaked out. I was like, oh my gosh, you know. And you
Yeah.
don't lose weight. That's another thing people don't realize. You don't only lose weight where you want to lose weight. Like I really
You
didn't think
can't
I,
you can't decide where you lose weight. It comes
right.
off
Right.
wherever it
I
is.
really wanted to lose it in my stomach. I didn't really, you know, think that I had a big butt or big thighs or big arms or anything like that. I mainly wanted to lose it in my stomach. However, looking at the picture, that is not how I saw myself. Okay. No, I could look in a mirror. I was like horrified when I saw these pictures. I was like, that I was not, was I? You know, and of course, everybody around me is saying, yes, honey, you were. But to me, I wasn't that shape or that size. Okay.
Hi, Joe with Garden State Gardener. Welcome in. Drops
So,
Family Garden, Tamara.
but
Uh,
you lose weight everywhere. And it's a gradual
Tuckby.
um thing how you lose it. You don't like just wake up one day and like notice, oh, my stomach's
Yeah.
getting smaller.
Yeah.
It's like the first thing I noticed were my wrists. I was like, I have my mother's hands now. I have skinnier, you can see the arthritis in my hands now that I could never see before because my hands are thinner, you know,
Yeah.
things
So
like
like
that.
Oh,
right. So like a lot of medications and things like that, you may be able to um, stop taking them through your, doctors and stuff like that if you lose weight. But the odds were all stacked up against you with, all kinds of things going on that you couldn't.
I couldn't get any footing as far as trying to get healthy because
Right.
and I had so many side effects that I thought were part of my conditions. But
Yeah.
after getting off of medication, you realize no, it was the medication caused
medication will
the
give you
side
some.
effect that was causing me to feel the way I was feeling. And
Right.
so now my goal is to get where I'm eating and taking supplements and the vitamins and the minerals and eating the food for the arthritis and for my thyroid and just different things that I can do now in a healthy way by using food more as a medicine than
Right.
actually taking all the prescription drugs. And that's one thing that most people don't realize when you have any kind of weight loss surgery, you will be taking vitamins and minerals the rest of your life because you are not going to have enough food to absorb enough vitamins and minerals to keep your levels up. And they checked me at 6 months. Of course, they checked me before the surgery, and we found out everything I was deficient in before surgery, and I started on a lot of stuff then. But then 6 months after surgery, they check you again. And so all the vitamins and minerals, the only one that I was just a smidgen low was vitamin D, which you get from the
Huh.
sun, which I'd
So
never, you can tell I'm white as a ghost. I never go out in the sun, you know. So I
I
do
have a
take vitamin
statement.
D. Pardon me?
Okay, I said I have a statement here. So
Okay.
this is I believe, this is just my opinion. I'm not a doctor or a nurse. I believe God provided us with everything we need to stay healthy. Food, herbs, you know, things from animals, everything was provided for us to be healthy. And we chose to go and make factories and process our food and put things in them that don't make sense. God didn't do that. We did that. He gave us all the right stuff and we did all the wrong things. And for a lot of years, we didn't know we were doing the wrong thing. So that's just my
Well,
opinion,
my
that he
opinion
gave us the
is
right
that
stuff and we did the wrong stuff.
convenience, making things convenient,
Yes,
is where
convenient.
we took a big wrong turn with our health, because we wanted everything right now, quicker, faster, better, you know, and that's not how we were supposed to eat or how we were supposed to live. A lot of the things that are now done, and I know Heather having the farm, she knows, you know, you can't change technology. A lot of things you still have to do by hand. You can't have everything done by technology or you're not going to get the result that you want to get.
Right. Well, exactly. Yeah.
That is the same thing with our bodies. You know, it's like they say, you are what you eat. You put garbage in, your body's not going to feel good, you know. And I never understood that. You know, I would say, no, when I go on a diet, I can't have what I want to have. And that's all I think about. And that's all I want is what they say I can't have. Now it's like, you know, to me, it's like if I have to make a choice, I have asparagus in my refrigerator right now. I love asparagus. I loved asparagus before. But now, if they put asparagus on sale in the grocery store, I don't care if I have a bunch of asparagus in my refrigerator, I will buy some more because I can make that and I can eat 3 or 4 spears of asparagus and I think I'm in heaven. I mean, it is the best thing ever. But a lot of
Right.
people don't like their vegetables. And so, like my daughter said, because my daughter's overweight, genetically, I did not set her up, you know, to be real healthy. She doesn't have any bad conditions, but she has a weight problem. And she's built just like my mom. She's like 5'4", and she's a pear. So she's got the bigger butt and the bigger thighs. And I'm built more like my dad. My dad was 6'1", had broad shoulders, but he was thin. So everybody in my family is always, well, you got daddy's height. That's why, you know, okay, well, I'm sorry. I would have been so wide if I was only 5'2", like my mom, or 5'4", even like my daughter, you know. Thank goodness. And I always said I was 5'9". That's another thing. They had to measure me before we did my surgery.
Yeah.
And I'm 5'7 3/4". But for some reason, I would swear I was 5'9", but I never
Well,
was
if you're going to round up, maybe 5'8" would be a little closer.
yes, but not
Oh, that's still
5'9".
pretty close.
I'm surprised I didn't say I was 5'10". You know, when you look at the weight scale, you're like, you know, the taller you are, the more you can weigh.
Yeah, I'm 7 foot, you know.
You know, I had to get my driver's license renewed this year on my birthday back in January. And my daughter and I was making preparation to go to the driver's license place to get it done. And my daughter said, well, Mom, you know, you can do that online. You don't even have to go. And I said, I want a new picture. I don't want the picture I've had for 8 years.
There you
I'm
go.
not that person
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
So I went, and when I was filling out the information, I said, you know what? I've made a decision to stop lying to myself. I don't lie to other people, but I definitely had lied to myself about things. And I said, it's time I stopped that. So my driver's license now has my correct height and my correct weight that it had never had since I was 16, 17 years old and got my first driver's license.
Wow.
I
That's
had
good.
always fudged those numbers.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I still don't share my weight or my age with anybody. That's none of your
And
business.
I,
Oh
I've
wait,
been I've been going to the YMCA and swimming and using their hot tub and sauna and all that for years, probably 4 or 5 years at least. And
yeah.
I still had my same ID from when I first started going. And you have to do the little swipe thing, to get in there. And one day I looked at it and I said, you're not that person anymore either. So I went up to the front desk and I said, I need to get a new ID. And they said, oh, did you lose your ID? I said, no, it's right here. And it was like a teenage boy, a college young boy. And he said, okay, well, you don't need a new ID. You have an ID right there. I said, no, look at this picture and look at my face. I said, I am not this person anymore. I need a new picture. And he was like, okay. And I said, I've lost like 80 pounds and I'm proud of it. And I want an ID that looks like me. He was like, oh, yes, ma'am, we will get you an ID. And he got me my new ID. But before, I would have been like, I'm just not going to show anybody this picture.
We have to do that in the U.S., Jennifer. We have to put our height and our weight on there. Hair color, eye color. I don't know what y'all put over there, but over here they do list your height and weight.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But so
Well,
I'm totally honest with myself now about everything.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
how much weight have you lost since your surgery?
Let's see. I was 290. I was 315 the first recorded weight at the weight loss clinic. I know I was a good 10, 15 pounds higher than that, but I don't count that because I don't have it documented. So the 315 was my first visit there. My surgery, my last visit before the surgery, I was 296. So I had lost 19 pounds before I had the surgery. So from 296 to 230 would be 66 pounds since surgery and 19 pounds from beginning to up to surgery. So 85 pounds overall from the beginning to now.
Well, and I'm thinking, because back when you weren't able to do the things you dreamt of that you wanted to do physically and all the things, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got the surgery and now you're 9 months into it. This summer, this spring, this summer, this fall, like the things, I can just see you like on a hike or something being just like in heaven.
My
Right?
bucket list trip is to go to Paris, France. Okay.
That would be nice.
Paris, France is like the most unfriendly city for handicapped people. They don't rent electric scooters. They don't have elevators. They don't have air conditioning in most hotels. Some hotels, you don't even get a bathroom in your
I
hotel room.
didn't know they didn't have air conditioning in Paris.
No.
Really?
And not most places. Now, when I started researching about it, I was like, okay, back then, I mean, I needed a fan to sleep. I'd have a ceiling fan and a fan beside the bed. I carried a fan with me if I had to go somewhere to spend the night or whatever. I had a portable fan at my daughter's house because when I was there, I would need the fan, things like that.
Yeah.
Have to have air conditioning in the car, definitely. Have to have, which I live in South Georgia, and then we get into the hundreds and it's high humidity. So, of course, I was always hot. I was always like, oh my God, I'm sweating and I'm hot. And so I would keep my house as cold as I possibly, could keep it in the summertime. And whenever anybody would come over, it would be like, you have a sweater, you have a blanket, you have something, because I'm freezing, turn the fan off. Now I'm the one that's saying, oh my gosh, this movie theater is freezing. It is like a freezer in here. And I now carry a sweater with me, even when I go to the grocery store, because if I walk around in the frozen section and stuff, I get a chill. And I'm like, I didn't own a sweater. I didn't have any long sleeve shirts. because I was always hot. And I want, if I had even a 3/4 length sleeve, I would have it jacked up, because I would be hot all the time. And now I'm like, oh, it has a sleeve. That's nice. Or like I bought some sweaters and I have like a long sleeve, long gray cardigan. And my daughter loves wearing cardigans. And I would always think, I would love that, but I'd be so hot, I would never wear it. Now I'm like, oh, even in the house, sometimes I was like, I need to put my cardigan on because I'm a little cold.
Yeah.
Never was I like that before. And everybody used to complain that, I was always hot. Now I'm the one saying, you're not cold? I'm really cold. I ask my granddaughter all the time, do you want to put your sweatshirt jacket on? Because it's a little chilly, and she's like, no, I'm fine. I'm like, okay, I'm freezing now. But the thing about it is when you lose weight all over your body, it's like you lose that layer of insulation that
You're
you
losing your sweater, your built-in sweater.
yeah. And so it's like, oh my gosh, I'm so cold all the time.
Right.
And it's amazing to me. I never knew that. And I am so excited about this summer just because like we went to the zoo. We took my granddaughter to a zoo. It was more of a wildlife refuge kind of place. A year before I had the surgery. And I couldn't walk it. I made it a little ways. I had to sit and I was sweating and, they went on and then I made it a little further and, but I didn't get to enjoy my granddaughter enjoying seeing the animals because I was either trying to get cooled off or couldn't breathe. I had really bad breathing issues. And, so now I'm like, I told my daughter, I said, this summer we're going to like the Jacksonville Zoo. I want a real zoo. I don't care how big it is. I don't care how long it takes us. We're going.
That's
And
good.
my daughter's like, well,
You
okay.
enjoy your life now.
I can do things that I never have experienced in my whole adult life. I mean, I was over 200 pounds before I started high school. So we're talking 8th grade.
Okay.
I know I was over 200 pounds.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't remember,
That part I
That's
can't
awesome.
imagine. Mine kind of grew with age, I think. I was actually tiny when I left high school. So I can
Me too.
I can understand being heavy now. I can't understand being heavy then. But I understand it, because, now I am and I'm trying to lose weight and it's so hard because I know I'm a stress eater. I know I'm an emotional eater and I know I need to get that under control. Hello, Bushcraft family. How much weight do you still need to lose?
Well, that's a funny question because most of the time they will give you a goal weight.
Your
My
goal
doctor
weight, not
said,
yours.
yeah, my doctor said we're not giving you a goal weight.
Your goal weight, though. You have a goal
No,
weight.
no, well, I want to be under 200 pounds, so probably 30 or 40 pounds at least. But the reason he said he didn't want to give me a goal weight was because too many times people get to that goal weight and they think I can eat again. I can eat whatever I want. I don't have to exercise. I don't have to follow the program anymore. And it's the rest of your life you're going to be following.
Right.
You
So,
got to
but
maintain it.
it's funny that you asked me that because my sister asked me just the other day. She said, I wonder what your natural weight is going to be. Like what you should have weighed had you not had all the medical problems. And I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I have no idea how much I'll lose. Now, of course, they're not going to let me become malnourished and lose too much weight.
Yeah.
And I am losing it rather slowly. But mainly it's because of all of the medications and the side effects and everything, now that, and I can even tell in the last couple of months, the more I get off the medicine, the faster I'm losing it. There in the beginning, I didn't lose it.
Yeah, but
fast.
like,
No.
honestly, losing 80 something pounds in 9 months, that's huge.
That's
Yeah.
a lot.
I wouldn't say
You know,
that's
Yeah,
low.
that's a lot.
they
So,
said I might could lose, you might lose 150 pounds, and I was like, there's no way. There's no way
I
I'm
want
gonna
to
lose
Yeah.
I
that
want
kind
to establish a little bit of reality with this question.
okay.
So, what do you eat in a normal day?
Okay.
Like, because you can't eat just anything because you can only eat 4 ounces at a time. So
Exactly.
name off what you think you might eat in a day. How many
Okay.
times? How much? Like, give us a.
I have breakfast. Usually I'm back home from getting my granddaughter by about 7 o'clock. First thing I have is I make a cup of coffee and I use half a protein shake for my cream and sugar in my coffee. Um, and I need to be getting like 100 grams of protein a day. Of course, you can't start out getting 100 grams of protein because you wouldn't be able to eat that much.
Yeah.
But so anyway, by using the cream, that is my cream and sugar, I get 15 grams of protein just with that cup of coffee. So I'll have the cup of coffee. Then I might have a scrambled egg. Now, I never liked egg whites or never even knew anything about an egg white, but now I will take one whole egg and about a fourth of a cup of egg whites and use that to make scrambled eggs. Um, I don't always have like traditional breakfast food. Sometimes I want a chicken sausage and I'll eat a chicken sausage. Now, a chicken sausage to me is about the size of my stomach if I look at the chicken sausage. And so that's, pretty good amount to eat at one time. I usually can't finish it, but see, I have my granddaughter most days and she'll eat, if I don't eat it all, she'll eat some of that. Then I'll have probably 2 to 3 hours, usually about every 3 hours. I try to eat something. I do eat a lot of cottage cheese and I do eat a lot of protein yogurt, which has 28 grams of yogurt or protein in the yogurt. So I try to get at least one serving of the cottage cheese, which has like 13 grams of protein, and one serving of the yogurt in a day. But actually, I use sugar free whipped cream on my yogurt. And sometimes I put fruit in the yogurt. Now, for the healthy snacks competition or collaboration, I
Uh-huh.
made a Greek yogurt parfait and I put protein granola in it and walnuts and fresh strawberries. And um, I, instead of making one like the recipe called for, I made it into two glasses. So I had two portions of it, and I couldn't eat the whole thing at one time, but I ate about 2/3 of it at a time. But it was delicious. And I said, I had the protein granola, but I had quit putting it in the yogurt. So I said, oh, yeah, put the
I
nuts
made my
in
own
the
granola
yogurt.
this year. It was fun. And it was good.
Yeah,
And when I made, you had to put it in the refrigerator
yeah,
until you ate it all. It was
yeah.
good.
Well,
Loved
But
it.
now I'll do a small little salad and I'll put, canned chicken in it, or I'll make tuna fish. I don't eat a lot of bread, so I will use
What do
lettuce
you put in
leaves.
your tuna fish? I'm curious to
I put
see.
pickles,
Mhm.
sometimes celery, sometimes onions if I have them. Um, and I make my own protein ranch dip that I can dip cut up vegetables in, but I also use that for my salad dressing. And so if I make like tuna salad or chicken salad, instead of mayonnaise, I use the protein yogurt or protein dip.
Do you have a recipe? Do you
yeah.
have like a video of you making that
Yeah,
recipe?
yeah.
You do? Okay, yeah.
And I
I'll
I
have
just I use
to
the
look that up. Or if you remember, send it to me so I can I want
okay.
to see.
Um,
Um,
and
so
like when I
and
first started, I could have like because you go through where you can have liquids and then you can have parade stuff like baby food consistency, and then you can have soft food, and then eventually you get back to real food. But you can have like a cream soup, and you can add protein powder to that, and that helps give you protein. Most soup doesn't have a whole lot of protein in it unless you add some, meat to it or some protein to it. But I eat a lot of, hey, Retro, he's making chicken wings. Yay. But I eat a lot of chicken and turkey. I don't eat very much hamburger meat. I do eat like a steak or roast, like a chuck roast or something like that. But I get them to cut it like what I get like the smallest one I can find, and I get them to cut it in about 3 pieces. And then I have a small crock pot and I have a small air fryer, and I'll make it in one of those. And then that piece of meat I'll eat on probably for 2 days. So a lot of things, if I cook them, I can't make it small enough. So then I have to freeze some so that,
for another time. Yeah.
We have 3 questions left.
Okay.
So I noticed that you had started doing some kind of gardening for collaboration. How much gardening have you done, or how long have you been doing it?
Well, a couple
Do you
years
have a balcony or grow light?
Do I what?
Do you have a balcony that you grow it on, or
a patio? I have a patio.
Patio. Okay. Yeah. I was going to
say. But a couple of years ago, I had 1 cherry tomato plant, and I really liked having the cherry tomatoes. So this year I decided to do cucumbers, green peppers, and cherry tomatoes. And then I also planted basil, oregano, rosemary, and lavender. And then I planted some flowers too. But yeah. So right now, and I didn't, my peppers, remember I told you my peppers were not doing anything?
Yeah.
My peppers are sprouting. I now have 9 pepper plants.
They just take a long time.
They take a lot longer than the cucumber and the tomato.
Mine are finally coming up. I'm excited about that. My survival seeds, bell peppers are coming up.
And I think
so the eating plan. Sorry.
I think I'll try the survival seed collaboration next year. I wanted to make sure that I could get seeds to sprout in my window.
Yeah.
And see how the plants do on my patio, because it is a covered.
It's a good thing because they send you the seeds for free. So then you can enter all the giveaways too.
Yeah.
So
if everything goes good, then I even thought about that today. I thought, I could maybe try it, next year. Yeah. I grew up, my dad had a big garden every year. So I'm used to, my mom would can stuff and freeze vegetables and all that kind of stuff. I don't know that I will get into canning that much because of just being me, but
I bet you will. Oh,
I might. You never know. But I definitely want the fresh vegetables, Oh, and I'm doing onions too. They haven't come up yet though, so we'll see.
So would you call your eating low fat, high protein, keto? Like, what do they call the eating plan that you're on right now?
It's definitely high protein. I don't worry too much about the fat. It's low carb and it's low sugar.
Yeah, sounds pretty similar to what I'm trying to do. So what were the side effects of your surgery? That's my last question.
I've had a lot of surgeries in my life, and this was the easiest surgery that I had. The recovery was nothing. I mean, I had my gallbladder out laparoscopically, and when I woke up from that, it felt like somebody drove a semi-truck through my stomach. This surgery was also laparoscopic, and I didn't have any of that pain. A lot of people complain of gas pains because they do kind of blow you up to be able to work in there. And so you might get some trapped gas or something, but I really didn't. And I thought I was going to miss eating. I thought that being on liquids was going to be hard. You don't want anything. And it's almost like, okay, I'm going to very carefully put this water in here and see. And you think you're going to feel it, but you don't. It's in your mind.
Yeah. That's one thing I always think about is what are the side effects? So you could tell people if they were actually considering it. So what we're trying to do is give people different ideas.
Right.
So we've talked about the carnivore diet. We've talked about the 21-day fix. We're going to, in the future, we're going to have Just Jason Keto on and talk about the ketogenic diet. So we're going to, we have him on in about 2 weeks from today. So not next time, but the next time after that. So we're going to try to do it every other one as a guest. If we can think of any that we want to bring. If you have any suggestions, you're welcome to email those to us. I know that Terry, it was Teresa, she had a suggestion, but we haven't been able to get a hold of the person that she had recommended by email. So we tried. Christine.
One thing that I noticed is like, so we started, before we got the farm, we started purchasing stuff from like farmers markets and trying to get like, you know, different types of meats and stuff like that from people who, you know, like not just the grocery store or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then when we got the property, we started eating more of that type of stuff and raising, I know everybody can't, raising our own beef and stuff like that. But when we go, like, I especially have to be more careful when I eat what other people make or going out to eat. My stomach will start burning like no other because I'm used to it being more farm fresh, I guess.
Well, and so, you know what is in it. You know, not only what, you know, what the animals have eaten and what you've done to process it and all of that. And that's one thing that I had to learn too, because you think that you like certain things because that's what you've always eaten and that's how you've always had it prepared. And once you start trying to do it as healthy as you possibly can, then you realize that it really does make a difference in how meat is raised. And like my doctor told me, he said, you know, you can buy all kinds of different proteins. And some of them are expensive. And sometimes you think, golly, you know, that's really a lot of money for that, you know. But like you said, if you're only going to eat this much of a steak,
it's not going to cost you.
No, but get the most quality steak you can get.
Yeah, right.
Because you're not eating a huge portion of it.
Well, just cut it into smaller pieces and package it that way.
Right.
But
you know, it makes sense that, you know, like why buy the cheapest thing you can buy? Because that's the lowest quality you can get also. That's why it's cheaper if it's processed or if it's more fatty or, you know, fat-free things. They take the fat out, but they have to add all these chemicals to make it have any kind of flavor. Fat gives you flavor. So you can still eat your fats, your healthy fats. That's automatically people think healthy. Healthy means I can't have what I want. It means I have to restrict. And instead of looking at it that way, you should think, because like people say to me, so what can't you eat? What things are off limits? I can eat anything I want to eat.
Yeah.
Will I feel good after I eat it? Maybe not. Will I be like, okay, I won't do that again? Maybe.
Hopefully.
Will I sit there and someone else will say, you're not eating very much? You know, is there something wrong with it if you don't like it? It's like, no, I know my limits. I don't want to be uncomfortable. I don't want to feel like I need to go lay down.
Yeah, you don't want to make yourself feel sick.
Right. You know? But when you're trying to do portion control and you have that big old stomach, you don't know when to quit. We don't let our bodies tell us when we're full and when we had what we need to have. You know, we don't, those messages don't even get to us anymore.
Yeah, we don't listen to our bodies.
Eating, you know, whatever. And so that's the one thing it's done for me. I mean, I can still eat the wrong things. I could sit here and eat candy all day long, or ice cream, or chocolate cake, or, I could eat whatever I wanted to eat. But I know now how different things make me feel.
Yeah.
Instead of, I want that because it tastes good or it tastes sweet.
I want this
I
because it
want
makes
what's going
my
to
body
make
feel
me
better.
feel good. What's
Yeah.
going to give me the energy,
I need to do what I need to do to get through my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And see, my granddaughter, 3.5 years old, it's like she is like a bolt of electricity, She
Yeah.
very rarely ever sits still. She is constantly, And I used to look at her and I'd be like, okay, Granny needs a nap. You need to sit down for a minute. And now I'm like, we go from one activity to another, to another, to another. And I'm not tired. I don't have that fatigued, dragging, like, oh my God, I need a nap. Now I'm
Yeah.
like, I wake up in the morning and I'm like, okay, let's get this day going.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go.
And
Let's do it.
it's so different for me. And my daughter has been just so shocked and amazed because she really thought she was going to lose me within a few years, the state I was in.
Right.
And I did too. I didn't think there was any hope. I was like, this is it. This is my life.
Yeah.
And
well, we appreciate you coming on to talk about your story and tell people the good parts and the realities of having the surgery.
think
And
about it long and hard and try
Yeah.
everything you can try.
Yeah, if you're
It's
coming in
not-
now,
it's
go
not
back to
an
the
easy
beginning and
answer.
listen to the whole thing so you can hear all the information about it.
Yeah.
So you got the whole story. And after we end this live, Echo, if you'll hang out in the backstage for a second, I have to ask you a question real
Okay.
quick, if that's okay with you.
That's fine.
We appreciate all of you guys who came in tonight. We'll see you back next week. We don't have our subject picked out, but Heather and I are going to have a meeting and we'll talk about what we're going to talk about. I think, no, we already have a subject. Never mind.
Yeah, we do. We got a plan. I'm like, what you talking about?
Next week, we're going to talk about, you want to tell them, Heather?
Yeah, so we're going to be talking about water. We're going to show several different water options to flavor them that are, especially with the gardening season, spring and summer coming about. So we want to talk about that. But you can't go on talking about that for too long. So we're also going to talk about some skincare options.
Healthy skincare options.
Yeah,
so that'd be fun.
Your skincare options.
And then the next week, we're going to be talking to Jason from Just Jason Keto. So thank you guys all for coming in, and we appreciate all of you, and we'll see you next week. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.